stop the music, because this, I don't even understand this. A federal judge, who obviously doesn't like his country, has reapproved the emergency order blocking Georgia from wiping the state voting machines. Why would we be wiping the state voting machines? Why does it take a federal judge to say, no, let's not erase all of that data yet? Joe Manchin, he came out yesterday and he said, I just can't believe that 72 million people were either that mad or that scared of the Democratic Party to vote for what I consider a very flawed individual. Now listen to this. This is Joe Manchin. This is the kind line they're taking on 70 million Americans. I can't believe that 72 million people were either that mad or that scared of the Democratic Party to vote what I consider a very flawed individual. Okay, well, let me flip this around. I'll probably be called a conspiracy theorist or a racist or a hate monger for saying it, but I just can't believe that 80 million people were either that mad or that scared of Donald Trump that they would vote for somebody who is clearly in mental decline. In fact, I'm going to go a step further. I don't believe 80 million people voted for Joe Biden. Where was the ground game? Where was the enthusiasm? He won with 15 million votes more than Barack Obama. A historic election, one that a lot of people will say was won because he was black, our first black president, and it was history. Remember everybody saying, well, they're making this historic, so it will be historic. There was no history made here. Oh, well, no. Is he our first on the road to senility president that has ever been elected? There may have been that. I was so proud to get out of my house and stand in line for our first senile president. It was important. It was an important barrier that we broke. Here's Patrick Basham wrote a really great piece in the Spectator USA. And he said, to say out loud that you find the results of the 2020 presidential election odd is to invite derision. You're a crank or a conspiracy theorist. He says, well, then mark me down as a crank. I'm a pollster, and I find this election to be deeply puzzling. I also think the Trump campaign is still within its rights to contest the tabulations. Something strange happened in America's democracy in the early hours of Wednesday, November 4th, and the days that followed, and it's reasonable for a lot of Americans to want to find out exactly what happened. First, he says, consider some facts. President Trump received more votes than any previous incumbent seeking re-election. He got 11 million more votes than he got in 2016. It's the third largest rise in support ever for an incumbent. By the way of comparison, President Obama was comfortably reelected in 2012 with 3.5 million fewer votes. Donald Trump got 11 million more. Trump's vote increased so much, according to the exit polls, he performed far better with many key demographic groups. 95% with Republicans, they voted for him, as did the rural male working class whites. He earned the highest shares of all minority votes for a Republican since 1960. Trump grew his support among black voters by 50%. Nationally, Joe Biden black supporters fell well below 90%, the level below which Democratic presidential candidates usually lose. Trump increased his share of the national Hispanic vote to 35%. With 60% or less of the national Hispanic vote, it's mathematically impossible for a Democratic presidential candidate to win Florida, Arizona, Nevada, and New Mexico. Bellwether states swung further in Trump's direction than in 2016. Florida, Ohio, Iowa, each defied America's media polls with huge wins for Trump. Since 1852, only Richard Nixon has lost the Electoral College after winning this trio. And that 1960 defeat of John F. Kennedy was still the subject of great suspicion. Midwestern states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, always swing in the same direction as Ohio and Iowa, their regional peers. Ohio, likewise, swings with Florida. Current tallies show that outside of a few cities, the Rust Belt swung in Trump's direction. Yet Biden leads in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Why? Because of an apparent avalanche of votes in Detroit, Philadelphia, and Milwaukee. Biden's winning margin was delivered almost entirely from such voters in these cities, as coincidentally his black voters spiked only in the exact locations necessary to secure victory. Remember, he went down in black votes. We're told that Biden won more votes nationally than any presidential candidate in history, but he won a record low of 17% of counties. He only won 524 counties as opposed to the 873 counties that Obama won in 2008. Yet Biden somehow outdid Obama in total votes. Victorious presidential candidates, especially challengers, usually have down-ballot coattails. Biden didn't. The Republicans held the Senate, enjoyed a red wave in the House, where they gained a large number of seats while winning all 27 toss-up contests. Trump's party didn't lose a single state legislature and actually made gains at the state level, even in California. Another anomaly is found in the comparison between the polls and non-polling metrics. The latter includes party registration trends, the candidates' respective primary votes, candidates' enthusiasm, social media followings, broadcast digital media ratings, online searches, the number of especially small donors, and the number of individuals betting on each candidate. Late on election night, with Trump comfortably ahead, many swing states stopped counting ballots. In most cases, the observers went home. They were removed from the counting facilities. And then around 1 a.m., counting started again. Statistically abnormal vote counts were the new normal when counting did resume. They were unusually large in size, hundreds of thousands, and had an unusually high 90% and above Biden to Trump ratio. Late arriving ballots were counted in Pennsylvania, 23,000 absentee ballots with impossible postal return dates, and another 86,000 have such extraordinary return rates that they raise serious questions. The failure to match signatures on mail-in ballots, the destruction of mail-in ballot envelopes, which have to contain signatures. Historically low absentee ballot rejection rates despite the massive expansion of mail voting. The missing votes in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, 50,000 votes held on 47 USB cards are missing. Non-resident votes. The Voter Integrity Project estimates that 20,312 people who no longer met residency requirements cast ballots just in Georgia, where Biden's margin is 12,670. Serious chain of custody breakdowns, invalid residential addresses, record number of dead people voting, ballots in pristine condition without a crease, meaning they hadn't been mailed in envelopes as required by law. Statistical anomalies in Georgia. Biden overtook Trump with 89% of the votes counted. For the next 53 batches of votes counted, Biden led Trump by the same exact 50.05 to 49.95% in every single batch. It's particularly perplexing that all the statistical anomalies and tabulation abnormalities, all of them went in Biden's favor. Whether the cause was human error or some nefarious activity or a combination, clearly something peculiar happened. For those members of the press that would have been all over half of this, had Biden lost, and this is how it happened with Donald Trump, there would be rioting in the streets. shut the pie hole. There's something important that has happened. The electors are not seated until December 14th. Until that time, every single American, whether it changes the vote or not, should ask themselves, do I trust the election process in America? Because if we don't, we're done as a free republic.